All right, folks, so here's how the Old Town 12 XT comes. Old Dominion Freight Lines, they delivered it, did an excellent job, it appears so far. So already starting to unwrap the plastic, but this is how it's basically shipped from the manufacturer. Yeah, looks like they did a nice job on packaging enough to protect the kayak. So let's get this thing out of the wrap and see what we got. All right, folks, so we now have the boat out of all of its protective wrapping and everything it came shipped in. I was very happy with the shipping process. Very simple, very easy. Everything was packaged nicely. The kayak was well protected during shipping. Old Dominion Shipping Line, a trucking company, they did a pretty good job delivering the kayak. All right, so before we get into the specific features on the kayak, here it is. We're just going to give it kind of a quick overview and a couple things to be aware of. It is 12 feet long. So that's, I would say for a lot of the recreational type kayaks out there that people buy, it's probably a little bit longer than usual. Probably most people buy 9 to 10 feet kayaks would be my guess, just for, general use. And the weight on this is 56 pounds. So I had a Old Town 10 XT, and that weighed 50 pounds. So this is about 6 pounds heavier. For myself, I find that I can pick it up and put it over my shoulder and get it up on the roof of my car okay. I would say, though, because of the length, for some of y'all, if you don't have the upper body strength, then depending on what kind of system that you have for the roof of your car, that's something that could kind of come into play in terms of just kind of handling it and all that. So that's just a consideration to kind of think of. But I would say, for 56 pounds, I think the weight is pretty good. I don't, myself find it difficult to deal with, but that is just something to think about. Now, the other thing, too, is the overall weight capacity. So, as I recall, it is 375 pounds in terms of the pilot on board here and then all the gear that you would carry. So that is also a consideration to think about as well, depending on how much gear that you're going to take with you or your personal weight. The 10 XT, for instance, I believe that has a weight limit of 275, I think, or 300, somewhere in that area. So definitely if you are on the heavier side, probably the 12 XT would be a little bit better. The other advantage too with something that's 12 foot long is that this, if you do predominantly lakes or ponds, overall this should track a little bit better than a 9 to 10 foot kayak. So that is definitely something to kind of think about as well. In terms of going for that overall length. If that's not as much a concern, then perhaps the 10 XT would be better for you. If you don't have those weight considerations to kind of think about, because pretty much the cockpit area is pretty much the same size. So that's just kind of, consideration. Personally, myself, in most situations, I think that 10 XT worked pretty damn good, but certainly with some of the lakes I'm on and stuff, I would probably, and we'll probably find that this 12-foot length will work a little bit better. So let's go and have a look at some of the specific features. Now let's go ahead and go tip to butt here on this kayak. So one of the nice things I like that Old Town did with their kayaks now, with the Vapor model, is they put a drain plug up here up front. And this is something I ran into with my old 10 XT. It didn't have this. So the number of times where I got water in it and all that, I had to pump it out. And even flipping over the kayak, you would still end up with residual water in there. So this drain plug here, if for whatever reason the kayak ends up swamped, or you just end up with an excess water, all you got to do is just undo this drain plug and just kind of tilt the kayak up, roll it over, and drain it out. So I love that they included that feature. That's going to be a big bonus, I think, over the long term. And then another feature that I love that Old Town includes on their Vapor kayaks is they actually have handholds at the front and the back. It just makes it so much easier. If I'm on my own and I want to shift the kayak around, all I got to do is just pick it up and then, rotate it around as I need to. Or if you're doing like a two-person carry or something like that, it just makes it easy to do that. All right, so let's have a close-up look at the cockpit here. And with this, nice wide open cockpit. Now, for those of y'all that are doing ocean kayaking or you're kayaking rapids and stuff, you probably wouldn't want an opening this big. But for us recreational kayakers just going down easy creeks and rivers out on the lake and stuff, this is pretty much perfect. I don't like those tight, kind of confined cockpit kayaks. So this is just my preference, and also I don't really do a lot of that other stuff anyways. So this works great. In terms of the cockpit itself, one thing is they do have these cushions right here, which is nice. There's a lot of kayaks that do not have that. One thing I think on the 12XT, they probably could have extended them out maybe another 6 inches or a couple inches or so. But they're still nice. Just, if you pull your legs back or whatever, it's nice and it's just easy to basically rest the side of your leg up against them and not get all sore from just raw plastic. And then also too, the seat here, the seat nice and comfortable and wide. It's also adjustable up here as well. So you're able to sit in the seat and pull it kind of forward or let it kind of release it to let it go back. And there's also a nice cup holder there, which is something that they've added over time. That looks like that'd probably fit like maybe a 16 or 20 ounce drink. In the past, with the previous seat they had, I didn't have a cup holder, and a lot of times would just have to kind of put it on the floor. So the seat here, real nice seat it looks like, and nice and wide and comfy. So I think for us recreational kayakers, I think that'll work pretty good to where I know in a similar seat before in this in these old towns, I could sit in it for 2 hours easy, no problem. All right, folks, so looking down into the cockpit with the 12XT, you have that extra 2 feet, so there seems to be a little bit extra space there for your legs, so especially if you're tall, that's going to be good. There's also a foam float block up there as well to assist with buoyancy, so that's just a nice little extra feature to have. Then we have our foot pegs here on the side. Looks like they have redesigned the foot pegs. You just have a pull tab there to adjust them forward or backwards. So having foot pegs to me in a kayak is a necessity, especially in certain situations. So I'd pretty much love to have them, and these are really well designed. I like them. And then here on the right side, we have our little adjustment here to adjust the seat up, or back. And then whenever you have it where you want, you just kind of lock it in to that little place right there, and you're good to go. One difference here between this and the 10XT, I think they still do the 10XT a little differently. With the 12XT here, what they do is they take foam and they actually seal off behind the driver and seal off the luggage compartment, because the luggage compartment's a little bit different. I think on the 10XT it is kind of pressed in to the kayak, and then it has like a lid on the XT model. On the cheaper model, there's no lid. On the 12 here, that's basically your luggage compartment and should be relatively watertight. So they do it a little bit differently. So yeah, interesting. Now on the 10XT, as I said, they had kind of a plastic indentation in here, and then there was a lid that folded over, and then it attached with a little piece of rope there. And while you were actually on the water, I could reach around, pop that rope off, and then lift the lid up to access stuff in there. With this setup here, with the 2 pieces of, I guess bungee cord, it probably would be a little bit more difficult to do from sitting in the cockpit there. I'm not sure. But so a little bit of a different setup. You have your hatch there. That's actually so you don't lose it. It's tied into the kayak. And then you have your well in here where you can put all kinds of stuff here at the back to take with you. So kind of a different setup than that 10 XT, but again, kind of depends what you're looking for. So definitely if you're looking for a recreational kayak with more storage space to take stuff with you, this is definitely going to be better than the 10 footer, I can say that. Then also here at the back, there is also another carrying handle, as I mentioned on the front. So either for you to manipulate the kayak and rotate it around, or to have someone help you carry it. A lot of kayaks do not have this feature, and definitely makes it more of a pain in the butt if you don't. So definitely a nice little feature to have. Okay, so at the back, at the very end here of our features, we have the skid plate. This is one feature that really drew me to purchasing a new one. On my Old Town 10 XT, it did not have a skid plate, and that's actually what did in the kayak. Over 12 years of use, gradually that back fin just kind of wore away over time, and eventually started, it cracked slightly and let in water. So that is an issue it looks like they have fixed with this skid plate. And it does appear that I've not looked on their website if you can get a replacement. I imagine you could. It looks like it just screws right in. So that's definitely a big plus to have that, and I'm very happy to see that, and we'll see over the long term how that performs. But very happy to have that. I think that's a great idea, and I'm glad they added it to the kayak. All right, folks, so here we are. Looks like probably the last trip of the year out to the lake. Weather is starting to close in, but we're enjoying the fall foliage today. And one thing that's been great with the 12XT throughout the year here on the lake is, compared to a 10-foot kayak, it tracks very straight. The 10-footer tended to kind of oscillate a little bit more, but this, it seems to kind of stick more in a straighter, truer line. And then also, too, it does very well in terms of stability. It's a very, very kind of breezy day. I'm hiding in a cove right now to get out of the wind. But it handles the waves and kind of the rocky lake today pretty good. So if you're looking for a stable kayak, this definitely does a pretty good job. Also very comfortable. I like the fact that we have these adjustable foot pegs in there, and then we can adjust the seat backwards or forwards if we need to. We got a place here for our kayak paddle, place for our drink. We pretty much have everything that we need. We have storage behind us if we want it. And yes, just sitting here chilling, enjoying this. So we'll go ahead and wrap up the review once we get back to the shop with any other pertinent information. And yeah, just really soaking in this fall foliage here. Okay, folks, so it's getting pretty cold outside, and I think it's time for a final verdict here on the 12XT. We've had it now for 6 months. It's been a trooper, been extremely happy with it. I do have the previous experience with that older Old Town 10 XT, and they've added additional features to this one. And I think the great thing that I really enjoy about this kayak is someone actually put some thought into it. You know how it goes with different products sometimes where you're using them or whatever, and you're kind of like, why didn't they put this here or do this or do that, add this or, or however. And that's the great thing about this is that all these little extra features I like that someone actually put some thought into. Just like right here, to be able to put your paddle, nice little indent there for that. 2 cup holders, a nice comfortable seat. I can sit in it for 2 hours with no problem at all. A little bit of padding on the edges. If water gets in it, which it did with this one, I did kind of Whenever I was getting out of it one time, kind of rolled it sideways into the water, got a bunch of water into it. Easy day, just pulled the bung right there out, unscrewed it, and kind of lifted the kayak up and just drained all the water out. We've got the handles right there, which are handy. Whenever you're kind of shifting the kayak around, you can grab it from the front or the back. Plenty of places, plenty of room in here to kind of put your feet. I like the foot pegs there. They have been real comfortable, easy to adjust. Wow, the storage compartment, plenty of room for storage if you want it. And yeah, it's just done an awesome job. The other thing that I like with it, it tracks real smooth on the lake compared to the 10XT. Not that the 10XT was bad or anything, but this one definitely kind of tracks just a bit straighter. And so that's, to me, that's a little bit better. This probably won't be maybe as maneuverable whenever I get it out in the creek next year. But I don't anticipate any big problems with it, though, because, people are running canoes and stuff like that. So I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. But yeah, I mean, it's just great. All the different little features that you want whenever you're just doing recreational kayaking to make it more comfortable and easy to do. And it just works really well. So I really love this kayak. I'm expecting it to hold up for years to come. I think I got about 12 or 13 years out of my last Old Town. So if it lasts for at least 10 years, I'll be happy with that. The other thing was that older 10XT I had, I actually stored it outside a good part of the time, and that probably didn't help it. So this one I'm planning on keeping inside and all that, especially in winter. So I think that'll help make it last even longer. But anyways, folks, if you're interested, check out the Amazon link below to purchase. It just kicks back a tiny commission to the channel. And all the support we get, we just add it in and create more videos with it. So really appreciate y'all to take the time to do that. Any questions or comments, make sure you leave them below. Always interested to hear from folks and y'all's experiences. So, make sure you do that and hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. We will have more kayaking videos next year once everything opens up and winter fades away.